Hello and welcome back to live coverage of the $5,000 Modern Open hosted by Apex Gaming here in Caldwell, Ohio. I'm Tandy, joined by Bo Matt. Say hi, Bo Matt.
Hi, Bo Matt.
We got 4 players left in the room, each scraping for their piece of this $5,000 prize pool. First place, $1,500. Second, $700. Third and fourth each get $500. So a pretty great payday for everyone involved, but a lot of money still on the line as well as multiple qualifications. Everyone who makes it to the finals will be qualified for the Apex Invitational in November, and the winner will get not only this sweet champion playmat that's expressive iteration artwork, but they'll also be punching their ticket to the regional championship in Atlanta later this year. We got 4 players left. Why don't you give us a rundown of the off-camera match and who's playing and what their decks are, and then go into our primary feature match for this round, Matt.
All right, in our backup match, we're going to have Amin Abadi on Azorius Hammer, you just saw last round, playing against James Mangus on 4-color Omnath. And then at our feature table, Marcus Davanzati on Temur Rhinos playing against Garrett Widman on Creativity.
We haven't seen any creativity so far today, but we do have one in top 4, and so I want to go ahead and take a look at it. Against Temur Rhinos, right?
Right.
How do we feel about the matchup? Who do you got?
Ooh, this is a tough one. This is definitely one of the decks that Temur Rhinos is kind of targeting, especially with those Force Negations. All the payoff spells in the Creativity deck are Sorcery Speed, and Rhinos is really trying to get in under that Creativity, close the door fast, and hold them off with Force Negation.
All right. Well, the players are already in the feature match area, so without further ado, let's head on down there and see who takes it down between Creativity and Rhinos. The Creativity player is going to be on your right. Rhinos player going to be on your left. Do you know seeding who's on the play, who's on the draw? Looks like Garrett Widman on the right with Creativity is going to be on the play, I would guess.
Yep. Looks like it. I don't have the seedings on hand, but there's the play.
All right. Off to the races. Turn 1, Bloodsaint Meyer. Marcus Davanzati. Back your way. Gonna go ahead and fetch. You know what that means. Your favorite. Suspend.
Crashing Footfalls on Suspend.
Oh, yeah. Just how we drew it up.
In this case, it's possible it'll be a little slow if Garrett's able to get down a Creativity. But, we're not doing anything else with that mana. Might as well.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get Breeding Pool. This is going to allow us to suspend Crashing Footfalls. And then Marcus is going to hopefully have it resolve in a few turns and then ride those Rhinos to victory. Could also deploy some more Rhinos off of a 3-mana Cascade effect. And then use things like Force Negation, Subtlety, these interactive pieces, even Mystical Dispute. These are things that you can use to slow your opponent down. That's all you want to do.
And, even if Garrett is able to resolve a Creativity, if Marcus draws enough Rhinos, it's entirely possible he can overwhelm at least a single Archon of Cruelty.
That's a tall order. It's so hard to beat that Cruel Ultimatum effect. Discard, draw, sacrifice, life gain, life loss. Just so brutal.
I've seen better decks beat with a Violent Outburst, so.
That's fair. All right, Jetmir Garden is the find for Garrett. We got land number 2. That's Scalding Tarn. Fetch. Pretty quick on the main phase, so probably going to be deploying something here. What's he got in the 2-drop slot to play here that's pretty good? I guess Ren and Stinks?
Man, you're a hater, aren't you?
Yes. Yes,
look.
Finally understand my brand.
Look, I'm with Garrett. I love hitting land drops. There it is.
Look, I'm not allowed to hate people, okay? That was taken from me at a young age, right? So I can hate things that don't really exist. Ren 6 is fake.
Yeah.
I can be mad as hell at Ren 6.
Look, Orcish Bowmaster's new kid on the block. Ren 6 has been hating X1s out of this format for, going on 3 years now.
Look, all I know is that the feeling I get when my opponent plays a Ren 6 is pretty bad. And the feeling I get when my opponent plays a Bowmaster ain't that bad.
All right,
Just saying.
to each his own. We'll see what Marcus has to say about this.
Maybe because I just imagined that that's the Bowmaster that killed Boromir.
Why does that make you happy?
Because Boromir was a jerk. I almost said a curse
Not
word.
at the end.
He was a jerk. He tried to take the ring from Frodo.
Look,
Sean
he
Bean's
was tested.
gotta die.
He was tempted. He was tested. We've all been there.
Ah, yes. I'm tested every day, and you know what? I still hate Ren 6. Anyway, we have some lands dancing from the graveyard, back to hand, back to play.
And we have a land cycler from Marcus, Lorien revealed.
I don't see it
I
on the
think.
table. It's somewhere exiled, or it's off to the side, probably underneath a graphic. You know how it goes. Rhinos down to 2. Island found for Marcus. Let's see. We got ice.
This is a pretty good turn for Ice if you're lacking on answers to a creativity. Uh, keep Garrett off that 4-mana sorcery. And he will pass and see if anything happens in the upkeep. Also, any number of things Marcus could be holding up here, but Violent Outburst is not one of them. No red mana so far.
Yeah, pretty strange to get island if you're missing red. So I think maybe just plays island to obscure information and just
Sure.
holding some sort of red source in hand to play a Violent Outburst or a red spell later.
Another thing that could be interesting is I'm not actually certain whether Marcus has main deck Blood Moons. He could be planning towards that, but looks like no Blood Moons in this deck at all.
I am not the hugest fan of Mystical Dispute at the moment. I thought there would be way more preordained gamers this week.
Sure.
Ooh, big raid from Anzid MTG. Thanks to Anu for
Thank
that
you.
huge raid. Thank you so much. If you are in our stream and you don't know anything about Anzid MTG, make sure to check it out. Anu single-handedly keeping live Magic alive. Well, not single-handedly. We're doing that too.
Yeah.
But you get it. You get it. He's doing great.
He's picking up the slack at these large conventions, flying out there and putting a stream together all on his own.
Yeah. You know, there was a huge gap when old SCG decided to stop doing the live coverage. I know a lot of people were a little disappointed by it, but Anu took it upon himself to do a lot of that live stream stuff, started by streaming his own matches, and then slowly, gradually just became the feature match area.
Yeah.
And then he started doing coverage for, guess what, the regional championships. He even got me on his team to do the regional championship coverage one time for San Diego last year. It was a lot of fun. So
awesome. So thanks for that raid.
Oh, yeah.
And everything.
Thank you.
All right, so we did see last turn Marcus had the upkeep ice. Garrett did not do anything with that turn and might not be doing anything with this turn either.
Well, it's a little harder to sit on your heels if you're Marcus or Garrett. I mean, at some point, someone's got to bite, right? Who bites first?
Looks like Brazen Borrower trying to keep this Wren from creating an emblem is, it's fine. Garrett's got all these lands in hand, but definitely an easy way to lose the game if that Wren was able to stick around.
All right, and now Marcus is going to go ahead and fetch, likely getting Catcher, Triumph, or some sort of red source. With Crashing Footfalls coming off suspend, those two 4/4s are going to hit play next turn unless Garrett has some sort of counterspell, but these decks sometimes play Spell Pierce, but not always, and they don't have a good answer for a Footfalls on the upkeep with 4 mana open.
Right. Looks like Garrett is playing those 4 Spell Pierce and no copies of either Remand or Reprieve, which would be great in this spot.
Oh, yeah. I have cast Remand on my fair share of suspend cards, and I gotta tell you, it feels real darn good.
All right.
Reprieve is a sweet one that I haven't actually seen cast in live play yet. I've seen, some streamers like Andrea Mangucci, play it as like a fun of in some of the decks that exist, or trying to play a couple just to test it out. But long story short, that type of effect is no longer that great in Magic these days, But hopefully Reprieve or Remand or both make a comeback at some point. We have Crashing Footfalls resolving 2 4/4 Rhinos from Marcus before the draw step. We're going to have a draw and hopefully some protection, force of negation, things of that nature to make sure Garrett Woodman doesn't resolve that big creativity next turn, which seems like he's probably got.
It actually looked to me like Marcus drew a Shardless Agent, which could be pretty big here if Marcus decides to take that line. Elects to pass, and maybe hoping to interact with whatever Garrett's got cooking, because so far has not been much of it at all.
All right, Terrence, shout out the Bits guy. I missed the name.
Free from it all.
Free from it all. Thank you so much for the 100 bits. Says appreciate you, Todd. I appreciate you too. You the best.
All right, both players kind of contemplating here. Does someone want to pull the trigger? Garrett will take a draw step. Third fetch land.
Does the flounder face. Love it.
We have a card pulled out. Could see a Teferi, but I think if Garrett had a Teferi, he would have been very incentivized to play that on the previous turn, try to completely negate the Crashing Footfalls.
Yeah.
Looks like we have one copy of Dwarven Mine coming out of the deck, so probably not a creativity that would be cast on multiples if at all possible.
My guess, Teferi holding up a blue mana. Just drew Teferi for the turn.
Sure. That's pretty good against Hardcast Force Negation.
Here's a dwarf. Here we go. Red. Maybe just casting the Wrenn and 6 again. Wants to hold up double blue for a double Spell Pierce or something.
Sure.
Is that Xander's Lounge? Is it a weirdo Xander's Lounge?
Correct.
Cool. 2 fetches at the ready still.
Wrenn is going to combine with Lightning Bolt to take down one of these Rhinos.
Love it. Would have liked to have seen Lightning Bolt first after the Wrenn resolved. That way, if Force Negation happens, you don't burn a minus on the Wrenn and 6. But maybe afraid of another Brazen Borrower bouncing the Wrenn and 6 in response or something. I don't know.
You could also just see that Garrett maybe is happy with the number of lands in play available to him. This is definitely something that can happen with Wrenn and 6. Is you tick up a bunch, you've got all the lands you could ever want, but it does not help you find action.
Oh, I just meant like sequencing to if the Lightning Bolt gets countered, you just minus the Wrenn for nothing.
Yeah, there's
There's punishes. I was just
right.
Anyway, Garrett, after killing the Rhino, passes turn. Marcus, end of turn, plays a Brazen Borrower, and we have a race. Here comes 7 damage at Wrenn.
Marcus is very afraid of this Wrenn and 6.
Okie dokie. And Garrett, gonna go back your way. Let's see what you got. Clearly couldn't handle both creatures, so lets the Wrenn die. Rhino does have trample, so Dwarf can't stand in the way, even if you had an answer for the Brazen Borrower. Think it's about time to pull the trigger on creativity, but probably just trying to wait till last possible to play around everything. Here's a Wrenn and 6.
All right, Marcus, you care about Wrenn and 6 so much. Here's another one.
Oh, yeah.
This one gets to trade for a very good creature.
And we know Marcus has a Shardless Agent in hand that he chose not to cast last turn. Afraid of some sort of sweeper or just wanting to hold up maximum protection.
Right.
I saw a Mystical Dispute hanging out there. Maybe wants to play around opposing spell pierces and things like that. Knows that if creativity resolves, it's going to be a bad time.
Right. We're at the point in the game where whatever number Garrett decides to cast creativity on, it is more or less ending the game if it resolves.
All right, now we decided to go face, so a change in tactics.
Yeah.
Mutavault at the ready. If a Flaming Ore is drawn, it could be quite brutal.
All right, mana is being counted. Looks like a Shardless Agent.
All right, here it comes. Cascading, finding the Crashing Footfalls. First card, easy mode.
Easy.
Do we have a
If
response?
it resolves.
Okay, more Rhinos.
They're in, and yeah, Garrett. We haven't seen any interaction for the lone Rhino that's been on the field for a couple turns now. It's possible these Rhinos could close the door if Garrett's not able to put together a counterattack.
It's just creativity, and he's just waiting until the last possible moment, because that's kind of what you have to do. Hope your opponent makes a minor mistake. Can't just like run headfirst into one Force of Negation or one Mystical Dispute. Needs to try to find a way to beat one.
Right, and Garrett with a big shortcut here is fetching with all 3 at the same time. Looks like.
Down to
Wonder
7.
how many dwarves are coming out.
At least one. It's like 2 dwarves and a blood crypt. So
This looks to me like an Archon of Cruelty.
hard cast.
Yeah, very possibly.
Maybe.
Uh,
Mystical Dispute looks pretty good against that one.
Ooh, very true.
All right, more
There's the
dwarves.
dwarves.
Just do
Garrett
one
only
more.
brought 1 dwarf token.
It's okay. Normally he just uses dice or backwards cards.
Yeah.
And normally that's enough. But when you're on coverage, we like to have tokens that look and represent better what they do. We appreciate the players for using these expo markers and custom tokens.
Absolutely.
All right, gonna go back Garrett's way. Gonna untap. Got a big draw step coming. Let's see if we can resolve a creativity here.
Without anything else going on, Garrett has brought dwarves to a rhino fight. And Garrett, of course, knows how much interaction is in the Rhino stack and has been very cognizant of how much interaction Marcus has been representing with up until the Shardless Agent. something like 4 or 5 turns with basically nothing going on.
That's kind of the game with Ren and 6 sometimes, right? Like you just hit every land drop, but by the end of the game, you haven't done anything, and your hand's just 4 or 5 lands. Now, it's possible Garrett's been sitting on creativity the whole time. It's possible he's got a bunch of dead cards, like extra Archons in hand or something like that. But if he's been sitting on creativity and kind of biding his time, well, there's not a whole lot of time left.
Right.
Here's the 4th dwarf of mine. That's going to make one more dwarf, and we can go for a reasonably big creativity. We can go for a creativity for 2 and still play around Mystical Dispute. So if there's no force of negation from Marcus, that might be enough to punch it through. Looks like we're going to go for X equals 1.
Garrett definitely being put to the test here. What number do you choose?
Okay, looks like we're going to do it for all of it.
And with a Spell Pierce from Garrett, we might be able to still beat this Mystical Dispute. There it is.
All right, and we got Dispute back, so we win the counterspell battle. Creativity's down, and it looks like these Rhinos are going to trample over for victory. That's 12 points coming in with trample, and only 4 to block the trample, down to 8 total damage, and that's not even counting the Charlotte's Agent or the Mutavault. And
Right.
Marcus Davanzati going to be up a game here in the semifinals against Garrett Widman. These players with a ton on the line, and Team of Rhinos takes game number 1.
Right. The staring contest could only go on so long. Charlotte's Agent very good at forcing action.
All right, well, as these players are shuffling up and sideboarding here for game number 2, we're going to take a moment to have Matt give his expert analysis of what these players are going to be bringing in, as well as telling you what they got at their disposal. Go ahead, Matt.
All right, starting out with Garrett in his creativity deck, we've got 2 Flusterstorm, 2 Boseiju Who Endures, 2 Veil of Summer, 1 Emrakul the Aeon's Torn, 1 Sarah's Emissary, 3 Leyline of the Void, 1 Plains, 1 Brotherhood's End, 1 March of Otherworld Light, and 1 Terror Asunder. So, starting off, we've got these 2 non-Archon large creatures in Emrakul and Sarah's Emissary. This is probably not the matchup for those, as the Archons, they trade resources just fine. That's an axis that the Team of Rhinos deck definitely cares about. So those are likely going to stay in the sideboard. Definitely bringing in the Flusterstorms and the Veils of Summer. We saw all the Force Negations and Mystical Disputes for this Veil to keep at bay. And then I'm interested to see whether Garrett brings in this basic Plains. That's a tool that the creativity decks use from the sideboard to try to play around Blood Moon and leave themselves with outs. These players don't actually know each other's deck lists, so it's entirely possible that Garrett is forced to try to play around the Blood Moon despite Marcus not bringing any copies of that card.
Well, I see him thumbing the Plains in his hand right now, so we'll see if he does bring it in, but he doesn't have to fear Blood Moon, but he doesn't know that.
Right.
And we're going to take a look over the Teamer Rhino sideboard. What does he have access to, Matt?
Marcus, in his Rhinos deck, is playing 1 Boseiju Who Endures, 1 Brotherhood's End, 3 Endurance, 2 Flame of Anor, 2 Force of Vigor, 2 Fury, 1 Questing Beast, 2 Obsidian Charmaw, and 1 Commandeer. Okay. So, here we're looking at Endurance is going to be an interesting one. I actually do expect to see Marcus board this card in. There is not a whole lot of graveyard interaction in Garrett's deck, but like we just saw in that game, this matchup can often devolve into a staring contest, and Endurance is great in those matches. Just being able to slam it down on your opponent's end step after they've been afraid to tap out for a creativity. Besides that, I think Commandeer is going to be an interesting tool for Marcus to try to fight back against even Teferi Time Raveler, which is an absolute hammer against his deck.
Yes.
And Flame of Anor, actually probably going to stay in the sideboard and get cut from the main deck in this matchup. Not too many targets for either of those modes.
Yeah. All right. And it's not really an attrition battle, right? It's all about posturing.
Exactly.
All right, we are underway for game number 2. Both players keeping their 7. Garrett Woodman on your right, down a game. Playing creativity, leads off Bloodstained Mire. Passing the turn. We ran out of paper. Can I borrow a piece of paper? Backside is full. That man's economical. I love it.
Another suspended Crashing Footfalls.
Look, it happens more than you think.
Yeah.
You draw your 4 of, it happens. All right, Crashing Footfalls is suspended. Back at Woodman's way. He's going to go ahead and end of turn crack one of these fetches, looking for a Triumph. See which one he goes and gets. Jet me a Garden.
You have the opportunity to mulligan hands with the Crashing Footfalls, but often it's like, this is a great 6-card hand, and it's got this gravy Crashing Footfalls on top.
Oh, yeah.
And last game, we actually saw those Rhinos being super relevant. They started the clock going. Got in for a lethal on that last turn. Made Garrett use an entire Ren and 6 activation, the Lightning Bolt, and it's not even to factor in the second Rhino that just made it to the finish line.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Woodman, Fidget Jetmere Gardens draws for turn. You know, you said I missed a joke. You said something about gravy, and I was just like, I was gonna be like, I too like gravy.
Yeah, I know you're hungry, Todd.
I am.
We're gonna get through this together.
If you make a food reference, I'm gonna say, hey, food.
Yeah.
You know? I'm a simple creature. All right, here we go. Draw for turn for Marcus Devontae. That Ren and 6 is gonna get a land back, and we are off to the races. Marcus might have ice here. No, just another suspended crashing footfalls, and we're gonna go back Garrett Woodman's way. Ren and 6 gonna be gaining some land drops. Ooh, that looked like a Teferi Time Raveler. I wonder if Marcus has a mystical dispute for it.
That is definitely the best tool for Garrett, even against these suspended crashing footfalls. But you know, I was about to say these suspended footfalls, they're pretty good in this matchup, despite Garrett having interaction. The counter spells Garrett's leaning on the most are Spell Pierces and Flusterstorms, both of which are pretty mediocre against footfalls off suspend.
All right, we got a tick up of Ren and 6 and no play. Could be wants to be able to play Teferi with Mystical Dispute backup of his own.
Right.
Or Spell Pierce backup of his own. Here's turn 3 for Marcus. That's a sweet spot for creativity. Or sorry, for Rhinos. Looks like we're going to go Waterlogged Grove and pass. Probably going to go for an end of turn Violent Outburst, but maybe just holding up protection.
Definitely threatening. Garrett getting his mana under him. Xander's Lounge domain is online.
Yeah, Binding only costing 1 mana. Not the greatest in this matchup. You know, spot removal does something against the Crashing Footfalls, but it only does really a half of something. And the deck is not really designed to generate 1 card for 1 threat so that you're vulnerable to those types of spot removal spells.
Right. On the other hand, just like Teferi is Garrett's best tool against the Footfalls, Binding is going to be Garrett's best tool against a Murktide Regent if Marcus tries to go around the Teferi and play that route.
That's fair. Looks like Marcus has a Dismember in hand. I wonder if Garrett's going to go for a cheeky turn 4 creativity to try to get in there while the getting's good.
Yeah.
And that could just get blown out of the water by that Dismember, but I'm sure Garrett's got that on his mind. Fire Ice a problem. Potentially things like Stomp from Bone Crusher Giant, Dead Gone. You know, these are all things that potentially can beat your creativity for 1. Here is a Fable the Mirror Breaker, the powerful Saga enchantment from Neon Dynasty, coming down to wreak havoc on Marcus. Let's see if he wants to answer it.
Fable, you know, I mean, everyone knows about this card. It's the best card in every format. It was really impressive when people started playing it in Modern, just how good of a fit it is in this creativity deck. Just every part of the Buffalo. You've got these Ren and 6s. You want to filter these lands out of your hand. You need creatures. You need treasure. You want as many targets as possible for your creativities. It just does it all.
Yeah, I mean, look, when a card literally has a novel's worth of text on the front and then also has the sequel on the back.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty good in most decks that it's in. And Fable the Mirror Breaker, you know, becoming a Modern staple well over a year ago, thanks to just how well it fit into creativity specifically. You know, it itself generates potentially 2 bodies for the creativity target. You can discard those excess lands or dead cards from Ren and 6. It's just, it does everything. It's so good.
Yeah.
Mystical Dispute takes it down, though, and we got to pass back with 4 mana from Marcus' side. You have to imagine there's got to be Subtlety, there's got to be Violent Outburst, maybe it's just a handful of counter spells. Yeah. We're just going to ride these Rhinos to victory, huh?
Right, yeah. That's what, it's really, you kind of look askance a little at the, once the second Crashing Footfalls comes down, but it's really playing perfectly into Marcus's game plan in this matchup.
Mm-hmm. Let's see if Woodman wants to do anything other than the Ren and 6+. Says go.
Looks like no.
Yeah, turn we're going to fetch. I wonder if we go get Island before we cast Cascade Effect, or if we just go get Tap Land and just don't do anything. Don't be the first one to bite, huh?
Yeah. Though, it would be pretty safe at this point. There's not a whole lot that creativity can threaten on their own end step or on your turn. So Marcus could easily just decide, you know what, I'll trade here. I'm not going to get punished for tapping out.
Yep. Doesn't
But
happen.
there's no threat in hand.
Crashing
We're going to
footfalls
start casting.
happens. 2/4 coming. Unless Garrett has, I don't know, Flash Freeze, Ether Gust, Literal Counterspell.
Multiple Fluster Storms.
Oh, Essence? No. What's the one that's like surgical extraction but also counterspell? Invasive surgery?
Invasive Surgery.
Invasive
right.
surgery
Yeah.
would be a heater.
No, he doesn't have that one. So
Pay
the first
two.
Spell Pierce, yeah, easy pay.
Okay.
And then that resolves. So Garrett, doing some posturing of his own, is not interested in looking at all that open mana on his own turn.
All right, but we still have a Dismember from Marcus, so if we go for a small ball creativity to hold up some counter spells like Mystical Dispute or Spell Pierce, Dismember plus Mystical Dispute could be a combo that gets him out of it.
Right.
Curious to see what Marcus has to fire off to protect himself, and if Garrett even has a threat to play. Creativity, it's kind of a one-card combo. You just kind of play some lands that find Dwarven Mine, and then
Right.
you play Creativity, and you go get Archon, and the game ends. But if your opponent has a bunch of interaction, either for your creature tokens or for the spell itself, it makes that very difficult to actually win the game because your whole deck is just geared towards drawing that one card.
Right. And we actually see Garrett fetch the Sacred Foundry here to get a second source of white mana rather than a Dwarven Mine.
Oh, looks like we have a Leyline Binding in hand. We're probably going to play that end of turn just to go ahead and get rid of one of the Rhinos. And Prismatic Ending in hand can also take care of the other one. And we also have Red and 6 Emblem coming too.
We talked about the creativity threat, but there was another threat just sitting on board this whole time. There is a Ren and 6 Emblem hitting the battlefield.
Call that the Renblem.
Yeah, many people do. And we see...
Finally get a look at that hand. It's a juicy one.
Yeah, even just Prismatic Ending, with that Renblem, every single land is going to be able to trade for a Rhino with this Prismatic Ending, and Marcus is in a bit of a resource hole.
Yeah, here comes Garrett playing a Ren and 6, and every time he ticks up the Ren and 6, that offers a retrace for another card in hand. Something like Prismatic Ending becomes Machine Gun-esque, able to fire off on these Rhinos, keeping them in check once a turn. Looks like he also has a Veil of Summer in hand. So even if Marcus does have some sort of combo package of counter spells to stop this, it's not really going to be enough because Veil of Summer is going to take him out.
Right. And this is probably what Garrett had in his mind when he fetched that Sacred Foundry is Prismatic Ending is kind of going to be my money spell this game. I need to be able to cast that as often as I feel I need to. So the second white source. Oh.
Yeah, we have to burn it. So here's the thing. If the Prismatic Ending resolves, it goes to the graveyard. The land in hand you know about already. It's going to be able to retrace immediately. It's going to basically just not do anything. Force Negation exiles the spell that it targets. And so if you go for that, you can potentially exile the Prismatic Ending. But it looks like Veil of Summer is going to clean this up nicely. And then we just have Prismatic Ending Machine Gun happening for the rest of the game.
Right.
I cannot imagine Marcus can win this game. Remblem in this spot is just unable to be overcome.
Absolutely. We already had the Prismatic Ending, but now there's a Veil of Summer in the graveyard too. Marcus's threats, Marcus's answers, all being shut off from the graveyard.
All right, 2 Rhinos coming back, and let's see if Marcus can put up some more pressure. Another Cascade spell or 2 could be good for just overloading that spot removal, but it looks like we're just going to pack it in and save some time. Thank you so much, Marcus. I love you.
Knows when he's beat, and we're going to get a game 3 out of this matchup.
All right.
Should be very exciting.
All right, while these players are shuffling up here for game number 3 of our semifinal match, thought it'd be a great time to thank our sponsors, Ultimate Guard, for giving us tons of swag to give to every one of our Apex Invitational Qualifier top 8s, including all of our satellite stores. You can check out apexgaming.gg to find an Apex Invitational Qualifier near you, and then hopefully you can make top 8 and get a piece of that Ultimate Guard swag.
Yeah.
Our entire top 8 here tonight got a pair of Cortex sleeves. The top 4 got a Boulder deck box. The finalists is going to get, I want to say Katana sleeves and something else, but I forgot the other product.
The Sidewinder deck box.
The Sidewinder deck box, nice. And then last but not least, the winner, the last person alive will get that Archive huge deck box that can hold 900 cards, including a bunch of commander decks.
Yeah, I know that one's a favorite for cube enthusiasts.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Ryan Overturf doing the Tuberts. I'm sure he's got one of those archive decks full of them.
Absolutely.
All right. I also want to say thanks to G Fuel Energy Formula for keeping us energized all throughout this very long day. We've had 8 rounds of Swiss. We are into the top 4. We are going to game 3, and after this, we only have 1 match left. It's been quite a fun day so far. 130 players to start. By far the biggest turnout for the Apex Gaming Series so far. And much of that is due to our expanded play space next door where we can comfortably seat around 150 players, no problem. And it's only going to get bigger and better. We're doing renovations. It's going to be great.
All right, and it looks like Garrett is going to be throwing back an opening hand and making some faces about it too. Wonder if that was a tough one to throw back.
Well, maybe it was a lot of land or not a lot of land. And either way, that's a face of a mulligan.
Yeah, I have a thing about one landers. One land hands always look super super tempting. You can put together the story in your head of how I'm gonna get there. I just hit one land and then I've got this, I've got that card, etc. My game plan looks great, but you have to kind of think to yourself, the reason this hand looks good is because it doesn't have enough lands, so it's just full of spells.
Yeah.
So you can just picture yourself, making the perfect play every turn, but you have to kind of counteract that thinking, that doesn't really get there a lot of the time because I'm just gonna miss my land drops.
Yeah. I think I have a bad habit of keeping like one landers on the draw whenever I play some aggressive decks. Before London Mulligan, I think it was it was very very important to keep one landers sometimes
Right.
because raw resources just mattered so much. But the game is just a bit different now, where curving out has so much greater importance, and each deck has enough mana sinks that even if you flood out, you're able to still do stuff. And so, just like mulliganing into a 3-lander is just like significantly better than ever keeping a 1-lander.
Right. It looks like Marcus did also mulligan down to 6, and we have some opening hands.
All right. Well, looks like we're going to be off to the races in just a moment once we finish these moles.
Garrett agonizing over that card on the bottom. Makes a call.
This is game 3. We're underway. Catcher of Triumph for Devin Zadi's Temur Rhinos. And Dwarven Mine for Garrett Woodman. Both lands entering tapped. My Kingdom for a Wild Nicottle. Let's punish these players for playing all these tapped lands.
You know what? Todd, you can get out in the trenches with Wild Nicottle.
I would love to. I would love to show people how it's done, but they have to give me Green Sun Zenith back. I have to have
All right,
Gaddock
now
Tea.
that's a bit of an ask.
Okay. Says the person who's probably never cast Green Sun Zenith in his life.
Hey, I play Cube.
Okay, is it great in Cube or is it just pretty good in Cube?
It's pretty good.
Right, but it's not great. That's the thing, man. People have like these weird, I don't know, hang-ups on cards that are on the ban list. And context is just different now. I don't know. I never thought Green Sun even deserved the ban. They banned it because it was really strong with Dryad Arbor in like these mid-range green Wild Nicottle Knight of the Reliquary decks, and and the best players in the world would just play these like 4-color green decks with a bunch of counter spells and Wild Nicottle and Green Sun. And Green Sun was like one of the best cards in the deck because it was Birds of Paradise or it was Wild Nicottle or Knight of the Reliquary numbers 5 through 8, but we just live in a different universe where now the scary thing to go get is Primeval Titan, and maybe it always was, but like it wasn't banned because it was ruining the format with Primeval Titan. It was banned because it was ruining the format with Wild Nicottle, and I just want to go get Gaddock Tea. That's all I'm saying.
All right, you know what? Maybe you can have it just for Gaddock Tea.
Okay, fine. That's fine.
All right, back to the format that exists. We see Fire Ice in Garrett's upkeep to tap that Triome.
Yeah, the Jetmir Garden does get tapped down, so no real play from Garrett Woodman here, and we're going to go back to Devin Zadi. Let's see if we go for one of those Cascade effects, maybe have a protection spell. Do the Rhino thing. It seems like all he's doing is suspending the Crashing Footfalls instead of casting them off of the Cascade.
In shock, we could see 3-mana spell plus interaction here. Looks like a Shardless Agent.
Yeah, we're going to go spinning. Top of the deck's going to flip over a guaranteed Crashing Footfalls, and that's going to put 2 Rhinos onto the battlefield. Looks like we brought in Commandeer. That's a nice one. Here it is. Crashing Footfalls is going to resolve unless Garrett has a flurry of interaction. Perhaps just a single Spell Pierce can stop it, but I have to imagine Damanzadi has some way to protect from just Spell Pierce. Here it
Right.
comes. Here is the Spell Pierce. Does Marcus have the answer back? No. Crashing
Wow.
Footfalls is countered by the simple Spell Pierce but powerful Pinpoint Precision Interaction. Tap your blue source. I'm going to call Judge on you. There you go. Judge is sitting right next to him. It's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Back Garrett's way. Let's see if we want to go for creativity for X equals 1. Plays the land pretty fast.
There's very little interaction Marcus can have, barring Force of Negation.
Which is a 2-for-1 and always going to get you anyway. So
Right.
I would just go for it if you have it. But, may want to wait a turn so he can Spell Pierce back or
Right.
try to find some other protective piece. Also, randomly gets whooped by a Dead Gone if Dead Gone targets the token. But I have to imagine those aren't in the deck anymore. But maybe not. Maybe.
Though, speaking of, we did see that Dismember, at least, still in the deck.
Yep.
So Marcus might prioritize that cheap instant speed interaction, even if it doesn't have all that many targets.
Here's what's Teferi, Time Raveler. This
Very
is going to
important.
necessitate interaction from Marcus, or the game likely is over. Teferi, Time Raveler shuts down the Cascade mechanic entirely.
Which is fun, right, Todd? Or wait, it's the opposite of that.
Ah, okay. So, are you pro or anti Chalice of the Void? I think this is a good test. Okay, outside of the context of stopping the Cascaders or whatever, but just like in general, the legacy decks that play turn 1 Chalice of the Void for X equals 1, are you pro or anti that type of gameplay existing?
I'm pro that type of gameplay. Because there's
You're fired.
deck building incentives.
Yeah, you're fired.
Teferi is good against the decks it's in so much of the time. Just reduces gameplay down. I have fun casting it.
No. All right, back to action. Veil of Summer protecting from Force Negation. We're gonna
Worst
draw a
case
card.
scenario.
And Teferi Time Raveler gonna stick. I'm likely gonna be ticking up here to 5 to protect it from the Shardless Agent. Could bounce the Shardless Agent and draw a card.
Yeah, what's
Since
that
it
card
does-
gonna do?
Yeah, it's gonna get cast again and be a Gray Ogre. Or Skate Zombies, or I don't know. What do people call 3-mana 2/2s these days?
Gray Ogre still.
Really? I don't know the last time they even printed that card. But that's
I don't know the last time someone put a Gray
Skate
Ogre
Zombie?
type card in the deck.
Oh, there's Shardless Agent right there.
Yeah, that's Shardless Agent.
Look,
Maybe that's what people call it.
the more you cast, the more you have to realize that you must reduce every single game state down to its purest form, and you must have direct comparisons to what those cards are.
Yeah.
You don't have to, right? But I think that is good to do.
Look, I'm learning. I know about Gray Ogre.
You're great. You're doing good. Y'all, I just want y'all to know this is literally Bomat's first time casting. And
Yeah.
I asked him kind of on a whim, like a month ago, because I knew Ross wasn't going to be able to make it. And I mean, look, I think the first couple rounds maybe a little rocky, but the last like 3 or 4 hours, man, you've been killing it.
Thanks, Todd.
Yeah, man. You know who else is killing it? Garrett Widman with the
Yeah.
failed summer on your Force Negation.
Couldn't draw it up any better.
Here it comes, a 3-mana 2/2 with no abilities. Gotta
Maybe-
pressure the Teferi.
I think that's what we call Gray Ogres now, is Shardless Agents. Like, you put Shardless Agent in your deck, a 3-mana 2/2, doesn't do anything?
So technically revealed one too many cards, probably going to get some sort of dexterity penalty, but it's extremely minor infraction, and I doubt that it'll have any real impact on the game. Long story short, he revealed the Misty Rainforest on top when he wasn't supposed to. My guess, we'll just shuffle the deck, put the Cascade cards on the bottom, and then we'll go back Garrett Woodman's way.
Sure.
So, minor infraction, minor penalty, no harm, no foul. Gonna move on in just a moment. I'm gonna take a sip of water. Matt, Phil.
So, you're a Shardless Agent. You've been tasked with taking care of this Teferi that's already bounced you once, and yeah, there's not a whole lot you can do about it other than hope you survive another turn, because Teferi is threatening to shut down almost every other card in this Rhinos deck. Postboard, we're packed with blue counter spells. We're also packed with these Cascade spells. Even Suspended Footfalls doesn't do anything here. And Marcus is kind of on a hope and a prayer with this Shardless. unless he draws something like a Teferi or a Fire Ice within the next turn or two.
All right. Well, again, we're just doing a little fix. I think the issue comes from a previous Cascade where some number of cards were known to go on to the bottom at random, but technically the whole deck is not random. So
Right.
we're just trying to find the best, cleanest fix. And ultimately, the Crashing Footfalls can't even be cast because of the Teferi Time Raveler. So mostly irrelevant, just making sure that all proper protocols are taken into account.
Right. And I think, the worst part for the viewers about this Teferi is we may never see Commandeer go on the stack in this match.
Aww. So, Commandeer targeting creativity for x equals 2. What happens? Explain it to me.
If I'm not mistaken, yes, you can choose new targets for it. So
Nice.
if you want, you can target your own Rhinos. There's probably not a better option. Those Rhinos will, if
Turn
you're
into
lucky,
Shardless Agents, what they will do.
If
or
you're-
Furies.
if you're lucky, they'll turn into Furies. If you're unlucky, they will turn into Shardless Agents.
Yeah.
But that is a far, far better outcome than whatever could be coming out of your opponent's deck, i.e.
Now,
Archon of Cruelty.
What happens when your opponent uses Veil of Summer to counter your Commandeer?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Commandeer does not counter the spell. It doesn't target a permanent.
Oh, nice.
So
Okay.
that's definitely one of the benefits of Commandeer is completely unveilable.
Nice. I'm also completely emotionally unavailable.
Wow. I'm sorry to hear that. I don't really know
I'm-
what to say, Todd.
Oh, I'm just taken is all.
That's that's fair.
I also just want to make a dumb pun because it sounded funny.
Yeah.
All right, so Tick Up from Teferi allows for instant speed creativity, and no instants can be played in response. So we're going to attack with the Shardless Agent, and I'm guessing we're getting blown out. But we're going to see how Garrett Woodman wants to play this. Can go fetching for a Dwarven Mine. Can play some sort of removal spell. Looks like we're going to go 2 mana. Leyline Binding on the Shardless Agent is
Get
down.
out of here.
Teferi still alive.
Shardless Agent made the hero play. Couldn't make it across the finish line.
Look, that's what happens when you play Grey Ogres in this day and age. 3 mana, 2/2, no abilities. Not
That's
that
true.
good.
Seems
Takes
like a deck
too long
building
to do it.
mistake.
Yeah, Only we were playing Wild and Coddle.
All right, Marcus is gonna try to scrape something
Again.
together with another
one.
Shardless Agent.
Another one. He's gonna go way slower this time. I know it, and it's just gonna make me so sad.
Yeah.
But proper procedure, proper protocol.
And we do see at least one copy of Dead Gone. Oh, Grey Ogre, that card.
That's the one. 3 mana, 2/2. I'm not sure exactly what the first set is. That looks like unlimited, but I guess maybe it was printed in all the Alpha Beta Unlimited area.
Absolutely. Yeah, so the Cascade is finished, and we did see a couple copies of Dead Gone, so Marcus,
There it is.
there we go.
The ogre philosopher Nerdel believed the purpose of life was to live as high on the food chain as possible. She refused to eat vegetarians and preferred to live entirely on creatures that preyed on sentient beings.
Aw.
I don't eat my food. I eat my food's food. Or no, sorry,
No.
the other way.
I eat the food that eats the food.
Yes. Nice.
Oh boy.
That's like some
Anyway, that's what Shardless Agent is.
Grey Ogre.
And yeah, there's a Dwarven Mine from hand for Garrett,
Yeah.
and passing back.
Teferi
Marcus.
ticked up to 3, so even a Shardless Agent attack doesn't knock it off, and we can fetch and get another Dwarven Mine and maybe double block the Shardless Agent to keep it contained.
I don't really think Shardless Agent is something that needs contained very much. I think
Whoa.
Garrett is pulling away with this Teferi. Just needs to find some action, I guess.
And that's the trick, isn't it? You have the answers, but now you must find the threats. Always the case. Here we go. Draw for Marcus. Can he find a way out of this? Something like Fury can clean up the token in the Teferi as long as Garrett doesn't have an answer. Flame of Anor could go after the Teferi, maybe? No, that's deal 5 to a creature, I believe. Deal 5 to a
Right.
creature, not creature planeswalker.
Right.
Okay.
Flame of Anor is from the Lord of the Rings set, and there are no Planeswalkers in Lord of the Rings, so none of the cards say Planeswalker.
Well, it turns out there's not going to be very many planeswalkers going forward either. Only one per set because people were, quote,
Right.
sick of them.
Yeah, I think that's got something to do with it. I think also Marco Rosewater and the R&D team are concerned about design space on Planeswalkers. They, even through the past few years, have been very concerned with keeping that design space open and kind of slow rolling their ideas for planeswalkers to the point that now they're limiting them to one per set.
Which is pretty funny considering a few years ago we had War of the Spark, which had 47 planeswalkers in it. You know.
Exactly, and that's kind of the point. Is that was the first set with planeswalkers with static abilities. They had that idea years ago,
Nice.
but intentionally we're like, we gotta hold on to this, or we're gonna wow.
Here it comes. Creativity for X equals 2 in response to the dismember. And you know what you can't do when the Teferi's out? You can't respond. So this is going to be a big creativity, and we're going to get 2 Archons. And this game is all but wrapped up. Marcus
Right.
Davanzati is going to be defeated by Garrett Widman, and he's going to punch his ticket not only to the Apex Gaming Invitational in November, but he's also locked up $700 in at least second place. Now he's going to be playing for an RC invite next round against. Do we know who won the other match since they're not playing anymore? Get that from my director. Was it Abadi or Amin Abadi playing Azorius Hammer? Now going to be paired up against Creativity in the finals. Both of those players are now qualified for the Apex Invitational in November, but still one regional championship invite on the line, as well as $1,500 up top.
Big match.
Oh yeah. So while we get those players set up for the finals, we're going to take just a 2-minute, 3-minute break. When we come back, we're going to have Abadi versus Creativity. We're going to see who takes it down. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.